Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I'm talking about a cool game that I discovered on the Super NES that I haven't really seen too many people talk about, at least in depth, and mostly just show footage. And I can understand why, because this game looks amazing, but it's very, very confusing, very hard to control. So I thought I'd do a video about it. It's called Armored Trooper VOTOMS. It doesn't show VOTOMS in the opening title sequence here, but that's the name of the game. It's actually based on anime of, I think, the 80s, or maybe possibly the 90s. Might even check that out in our Old Fart series at some point. But it's quite a cool looking game. It's a mech game with, you know, these young kids driving them, etc. Sort of typical anime fare. And in addition to being on the Super NES, there's also a lot of sequels that came out on the PlayStation 1. Now, here's some gameplay footage that gives you an idea. It's a very cool kind of arena mech shooting game. It looks great, and in fact, I'll get into it, but even though it looks great, it's very confusing. It's not that it's not fun to play, but I hope this video helps people get to grips with it, because it took me a while to learn this game. And the nice thing is all the menus are in English, but the storyline is completely in Japanese and I have no idea what they're saying. So we got several different options here. I'll show you the control options. They're not bad. I stick with A. I mean, there's B and C for different ways of handling the mech. I would stick with Control A, so you use your D-pad to move around, your shoulder buttons to kind of rotate, and the top two buttons can be your weapon, and the bottom two buttons are for selecting your other weapon. The weapon selections themselves are kind of critical, and I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, there's basically the control scheme. And you can play against a friend, or you can play the actual story. So let's do that. The nice thing is this game also runs on a password system, but let's do a new game, because that's where some of the confusion kicks in. Yeah, unfortunately, without knowing what's going on here, it's all bad stuff going on with explosion sounds and a lot of animated people looking worried. Yeah, dialogue ensues, and then you're in. Now, what's confusing here is you're into an arena fight right away, so you're moving around with the D-pad, and as I say, you can rotate with the shoulder buttons. That's pretty good. And for this first fight, all you have is the ability to punch, which is a bit crummy, but that actually will be useful later on. So I'll try and punch these guys. And yeah, I'm not doing too bad here. What's weird though is this isn't really the game. I am controlling it, but as you're about to find out, that was actually just a dream sequence. Now we're sort of waking up. And then the real story starts. So, very strange stuff. Yeah, so it's a little bit odd if you don't know that stuff. Yeah, you're just, you thought you were starting the game, you're running around and punching. But in fact, that's apparently just a dream sequence. So, all these characters, they all talk to each other, don't know what they're saying. So I'm going to fast forward here by just hitting the start button on the controller. Alright, so this is the real game now, or at least the real fight. You have two weapons in this battle. You can use your punch that you were using in that dream sequence, or you can switch using, remember there was like the select buttons with which you could choose also this heavy machine gun, but honestly the heavy machine gun is totally useless in this first battle. So I'm not even going to bother using the machine gun. I'm just going to punch these guys, because honestly that's where you really do your most damage. I would not recommend you even bother. Let me back up a bit. Don't even bother. I mean, I can hit select and then I can use the machine gun here, but it's kind of bad. I mean, it's a long-ranged weapon for sure, but it's a terrible weapon. So I'm going to switch back to the punching and just take these guys out with punches here. One thing, it's very hard to control this. I mean, you can kind of use battle zone style, you know, go backwards and just shoot people and hope that that works. But I find for this, you really just need to go forward and punch the daylights out of these guys. If I can find any of them. There we go. One other thing that's also very handy is if you hit select on your controller, it puts little circles above the bad guys to show you just what their level of health is. And that's kind of useful, actually. Oh, there's one guy there that is almost completely gone because he has a big red circle. So if I punch him, he's probably going to be the first one that goes down. Let's see if we can get to him, though. Come on, get him. There we go. So that's him out. That's handy. And that guy's not doing too well. Let's punch him a bunch of times. Yeah, that other guy's doing pretty okay. So let's concentrate on yellow here. As I say, the game looks great. I really wish it was a little easier to control or a little more fun to play. Oh, they're coming after me. Let's get Mr. Yellow here. He's not doing well. And again, very confusing on the combat. If you don't know that the machine gun is basically useless, you will be like me and waste several games trying to use the machine gun most of the time. Don't bother. Just punch people. Let's get that guy. Let's get that guy. Get him. Ah, that's him. Okay, so now just one more. Now, for this time I will use the machine gun because since I'm down to one dude left to fight, I might actually stand a chance. No, I'm going to switch back to guns. Or punching, sorry. Okay. Stage 1 clear. Victory. And then we have more conversation between anime kid and girl with the hat. Let's fast forward through this. Now stage 2 is kind of cool because in this one you use the machine gun and it's kind of like a shoot 'em up. Yeah, this one's kind of weird. You're on this road and you're just shooting all these guys in front of you. You can't go backwards, you can't change your direction. If you try to go, if you hit reverse on the D-pad, you essentially just come to a stop, and that's all. You can't use the shoulder buttons to kind of rotate the mech in this mode, so it's really, you're just going straight down the road and you're shooting everything you can, kind of like a shoot 'em up, really. And then you meet a boss at the end of this level. Now that's about as far as I've gotten. But it's kind of cool. And it looks gorgeous, as you can tell. Like, this is a really good-looking Super NES game. I think it only came out in Japan. Oh, let's get that thing there. I think even the ones that go behind you, they may eventually come back up in front of you. Yeah, see, that guy's trying to come back in front of me. So I'll let him. There we go. That's him dead. My status is in the bottom right. You can see I'm not doing too well here. I'm thinking when you play two-player, it's a split screen, so your buddy that you're playing against on the couch, his view is down below. I haven't actually verified that, but that seems to make sense. And here comes the boss. I haven't got past this guy yet. So he's, I guess, driving backwards but shooting at you, and you just want to hit him as many times as you can and avoid his shots, not like I've just tried to do there. I don't think I'll manage. I didn't get very far before against this guy. But yeah, that is Armored Trooper VOTOMS. It's a really cool looking game. And once you know the initial thing is a dream sequence that you just eventually go past and learn to use your punch, not your machine gun in the first fight, and then just use the machine gun. After this, I've read online you get like a missile pack, and that really seems to open the game up. But haven't really got past this guy enough times, or at all, in order to verify that and try out how cool that is. So I have to take the internet's word for it, I guess. I think I'm about to die. Anyway, yeah, I just thought, oh, good lord, I defeated him. I have no idea how you use this thing. Let's try it. Oh, at least those are guided shots. Thank goodness. They don't seem to be very effective, though. Still, kind of cool. Anyway, this video is getting long enough. I'll have to try out the rest of these levels with this shoulder pod. But pretty cool for a Super NES game, though. I really, really like the look of it. Oh, that guy's gone. Alright, let's get that other guy. Alright, well, yes, that'll do for now. Until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.